hailed by Mother Jones as criminally underappreciated, and I believe that. The California-born singer, songwriter, guitarist, multi-instrumentalist, actor, film composer, and visual artist began his career in the early 90s as the frontman of the acclaimed trio Grant-Lee Buffalo. Once named Male Vocalist of the Year by Rolling Stone, USA Today called him a soulful balladeer, while Uncut hailed him as a distinguished U.S. songwriter. With Widdershins, Phillips invests the insight, nuance, and wit that has distinguished his songcraft over the past 3 decades in a riveting dissection of today's fraught social landscape. Beneath the moment's tumultuous veneer, Phillips uncovers resonances spanning centuries, patterns echoing from the present day to the distant past. In doing so, he unearths deep reserves of hope and even humor, transcending shock to reveal age-old cycles and archetypes, which Phillips delights in resurrecting. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce to you Grant-Lee Phillips. Hello, Grant. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Welcome to Something Different.
What's going on?
Man, I just got to say, I'm honored to have you call into the show. Thank you very much.
Well, it's my privilege. I'm looking forward to to being on your side of the country here pretty soon. Got some shows coming up soon.
Do you get out here that much?
What's that?
Do you get up here to the Northeast that much?
Yeah, not frequently enough, but certainly now and then I have had the pleasure of being in the Northeast. I play in Boston, every year or so, and sometimes with more frequency. It's been a while since I've been in Northampton, though, so I'm looking forward to that, and New Haven, which
those are both great college towns to be playing in.
Yeah, the 9th at the Parlor, the 9th of March here at the Parlor Room in Northampton, and the next night, the 10th at Cafe 9, and my buddy Philip Price of Winter Pills, who are a fabulous band based in Northampton. Philip is going to open the shows, both of those, and an additional guest, Frank Citrelli, on the 10th at Cafe 9 as well. So come early. It's going to be a good night.
Excellent. Now, you're promoting your latest album, which is like your 7th or 9th solo album, right?
I guess it is. I believe it's the 9th, yeah. Something like that.
Is it Widdershins?
Yeah, Widdershins. It's
an old word, right? To mean to move counterclockwise?
Yeah, right.
Spiraling backwards?
I had completed this album, and I kind of stood back from it. Like, what do I call the thing, And I probably could have called it topsy-turvy as well, because it has that feeling of trying to capture this moment in time, or it's as though we're all kind of peering through the looking glass, trying to make sense of this world, and what's up is down and what's down is up, and
are you
it's strange kind of time, right?
It's a very strange time. Are you do you think of yourself more as politically conscious, or are you just overall in general you're thinking?
I think I'm just sort of I'm following the news of the day very closely and have done so for a long time, but I'm always trying to understand it from the perspective of how does this make sense, as a human, and how do I process this, and what does this mean about all of this, and why am I so anxious? Why am I asking myself all these questions?
It's good though that you are, because I don't think enough people are, and that's why we are where we are today. Do you think we're getting to the point where we get what we deserve?
Well, I don't know that I would put it that way. I think a lot of us do share in a sense of quiet desperation, feeling disconnected to the group,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe wanting to revoke our own memberships to some of those groups. It's the kind of thing where we're moving as one herd or flock, and I'm just kind of asking that question: which direction are we going here? Who's leading the charge? And that looks like a cliff that we're coming upon over here. Maybe we should take a closer look before we dive.
I really like, I was previewing your album today, Widdershins. I really like Totally You, Gunslinger. And see, it's a backhanded salute with a mix that combines Roy Orbison with the Smiths, which is always going to get my attention. Can you tell us a little bit what that song is about, what you were thinking when you wrote it?
Oh man, the song is sort of a response to a conversation actually that I was having with a friend of mine. Essentially, it made me think about the casual relationship, the all too casual relationship that we have with weapons. You know, it was written some time ago, but this is obviously a topic that is only gaining traction, and it's a really urgent conversation.
Yeah, the NRA is in the news like almost every other day.
Yeah, right. I mean, millions upon millions are spent, to lobby for, that side of things,
Mm-hmm.
But I think we have long ago reached that critical mass where, we need to put the brakes on and talk about this, as adults in the room, I mean, the real strong voices in the room are our children,
Yes.
And so, I mean, I was kind of touching upon that with that song. It's a very melodic little 3-minute pop song in some ways, but I mean that sort of speaks to the all too casual nature that we deal with these things. It stops me in my tracks, and I don't feel very very secure in this world with the idea that we all might be armed to the hilt, or that our kindergarten teachers would be. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't mean to exaggerate the situation, but the rhetoric is frightening.
Yeah, and I think it's good that you're making it part of the conversation. Is to not talk about it is even scarier.
Yeah, right. That's exactly it. I mean, I do write. I write all sorts of songs. I've written my share of love songs and songs about family and what it means to be a new dad. Whatever phase of life that I'm in, I try to reflect that in the songwriting. And as you say, it's a difficult thing to turn your head away from what is in the room at this moment in time. That galvanizes all of us. All of these rites of passage galvanize us: parenthood, loss, grief, love. But on the same token, we are all of us invested in this, in the future, here with our government.
Absolutely. I gotta say, one of my all-time favorite songwriters.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. That's what I was trying to get to. Is thank you for doing what you do, and being out there and being available for people to listen. And I kind of feel sometimes conflicted because I see an artist like you who's immensely talented and has a large fanatic following, and yet I really don't hear you on commercial radio, whether it's commercial alternative radio or satellite alternative radio. Do you want to get more airplay, or are you kind of happy with what you've achieved?
I think my focus is so much on the work itself. It's an area where I feel like I can answer to my own criteria. How do I feel about this song, and have I said what I want to say? That is within my grasp. Beyond that, once I hand the album over to the record company, and they in turn hand it over to the folks who promote it, then there are so many factors, and I have been in that place, certainly with Grant-Lee Buffalo, where we were played on commercial radio, and I have been played on commercial radio. It's this album is just kind of peaking in the top 40 of I think like Americana radio right now.
Oh, cool.
I don't pay especially close attention to these things because, one, I just don't understand what it means quite often. You've just been added to the something list,
It's very subjective, yeah.
Is that good,
Yeah.
Am I in trouble? So I don't overly fixate on it. I think, like many of my peers, recording, writing, and touring, that's plenty for me to chew on. And commercial radio is a very uniquely tight kind of circle. I mean, there's so many things that would make it difficult for a person of my generation, to pierce, the playlist. I would think,
I assume that you're kind of
about it that much.
I assume that you're kind of doing what you do the way you do it because you love doing it. Do you think that kind of making it more commercial would kind of spoil things for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to change it. What I do, I wouldn't want to be tricked into thinking I could just stylize it in a certain way, because then you'd be following some trend, and trends do change. If you were to do so, then you probably would miss the boat. By the time your record came out, it would be something else. Sometimes it smells like that. Like some of the bands are simply following, the pattern of what else is on the radio or what worked for them, for that matter. Kind of recycling, and that's never exciting. That's not what excited me when I got into this. I think I probably looked to people who were a little bit fringy to begin with. The David Bowies and all the great sort of underground music that was bubbling up in Los Angeles back in the 80s when I moved there. That's when bands like Dream Syndicate and X and Los Lobos were coming up, and all of it. In fact, all three of those bands were on Slash Records, which is the label that Grant-Lee Buffalo signed to. That seemed really exciting, and the idea that you could make a record, in a little studio, and that somehow it would get out. My my aspirations were more along those lines. Like I want to see my cassette next to Billy Bragg, maybe. Maybe REM and everything.
Wow.
But then REM got even bigger, and deservedly so. So those were the bright lights that kind of inspired me.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I hate to cut this short. I got someone else coming in. But before I let you go,
okay.
You're
though, man.
constantly on tour. You're going to be in Boston on the 8th. You're going to be in Northampton on the 9th at the Parlor Room, New Haven, Connecticut on the 10th at Cafe 9. All these places you get to travel around. Is there any place you kind of look forward to going to because there's your favorite comfort food ahead at a certain restaurant or a bar?
I know that place in every town. I'm like Google Earth for comfort food, Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to next weekend?
I'll tell you that Jake's in Northampton. I'm going to hit that place there. Yeah. And there's a little diner in Kingston that I discovered as well.
Kingston, New York?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just outside of Woodstock. A little,
That's a great
diner.
little town, yeah.
Oh, man. Now you've got me hungry. We'll be hitting the road and trying to hit the gym at some point as well. But,
there you go. That's got to be a challenge, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Mark.
Grant, thank you very much. Grant-Lee Phillips, who's performing at Cafe 9 on the 10th, which is next Saturday on New Haven, and Friday, the 9th, at the Parlor Room in Northampton. Grant-Lee Phillips, thanks very much for calling in.
Thank you.
And please stay on the line 1 second. All right, Grant-Lee Phillips. Man, I can check off that bucket list right there. Let's listen to something off his new album, Widdershins. Here's a song I love, Walk in Circles.
Hey, this is Grant-Lee Phillips, and you're listening to Something Different with Marky Ramone on WECS 90.1 FM.
The dirty work of mudding up the bricks. Wanna walk in circles. Walk in circles. Walk in circles.